They tried to slap that look right off my face, but I'm still grinning. And the money ain't run out yet, so I do believe I'm winning. For all the mess I was, am and will be continuing, and the fun is only beginning. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la.
Hello and welcome to Don't Bury the Lead. We recap WWE SmackDown every Friday night after the bell. My name is John Zindel. This is Dom Scarcella. Dom, go ahead and tell the people a little bit about yourself.
After a 2 thumbs down SmackDown last week, was the December 8th episode any better? Let's find out. John, don't bury the lead. What's our top story from tonight's WWE SmackDown?
Top story is the main event. LA Knight and Randy Orton tag team against Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso. Randy Orton and LA Knight go over, but Randy Orton seems to steal the victory from LA Knight.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this was a pretty good main event match. The crowd was going crazy for it. Dom, what did you think of this match?
A hot crowd all night. It was a tribute to the troops. Audience members really into all the performers. I'm sure we'll get more into that, but this was an engaged crowd tonight, and it certainly showed up in the main event as we expected there. You talked about Randy Orton maybe stealing one from LA Knight. I mean, technically, Randy was the legal man for their team. So, what good is it for LA Knight to hit blunt force trauma on Jimmy Uso? So as LA Knight goes to grab Jimmy Uso up around the neck for the blunt force trauma, Randy Orton pulls him out and gives him the RKO. Randy makes the cover. 1, 2, 3. Bell to bell. This was about 12 minutes. Fun match. They teased, would Randy Orton and LA Knight get along the whole time? Because they've never interacted at all anywhere. They're just thrown together in a tag team here. And the two of them really played it up the whole match. It was fun, but in the end, they get the win, and maybe coming out on the winning side smooths over some of the rough edges. This was fun. Where do you want to go? Spots, or do you want to go some of the psychology that Randy and LA Knight were giving us?
Either one works for me. I have a good amount of notes here about the match.
Go for it. What do you like?
And to echo what you said, the crowd was so into this match.
Yep.
They could have done anything. LA Knight and Randy Orton. LA Knight goes in and starts throwing punches, and he's getting the yeah chant for every punch and every stomp. So LA Knight is so over to the point where he throws a punch or a kick, and the crowd does a reaction.
Yep.
And a loud reaction, right?
They're waiting for it too, like they're anticipating.
Yeah. And it was really kind of boilerplate, standard issue tag team match with two babyface hot tags. And, I think it just says a lot to the way that they have established really prominent faces and understandable faces, and then very prominent heels and understandable. Like the Bloodline, they're a heel team. Yep. And, LA Knight has been over now for about 9 months, and it doesn't seem like he's cooling off. He's still the most over. He probably got the biggest pop, and CM Punk arrived tonight. So
yeah, right.
It just shows you how over he is. Some stuff that was really cool. I think that Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso both played an excellent role as the heels. Jimmy was to the crowd. Solo was awesome in there with the belly-to-belly suplex. Was real nasty on LA Knight. It was really nice. And so from my perspective, a really good match. Any specific spots that you want to call out?
I liked Randy hitting the rope DDT on Jimmy, and just before he dropped him, he gave a yeah to the crowd.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna get back to that a little later because you're right about LA Knight being so hot, and there are other veteran wrestlers like trying to ride his coattails a little bit or
Mhm.
test the waters and throw him out there. But that was fun. Randy Orton looks great. I haven't seen him in many years because I wasn't watching when he was making this last run of his until about 18 months ago. I do like the fact that the Randy and LA each gave each other a blind tag early that the other wasn't too happy about.
Yeah.
Playing that up, that kind of continues the whole time. Neat sequence here when they finally get hot tags to Randy Orton and Jimmy Uso. Um, Randy hits that rope DDT on Jimmy. Solo ambushes Randy from behind and teases a spike. But LA Knight grabs Solo Sikoa and DDTs him. And that's when Jimmy turns to LA Knight, who goes for the blunt force trauma. So it was this sequence of, okay, I hit my spot, I hit my spot, I hit my spot, but it wasn't perfectly like that because like Solo didn't actually get to hit the spike
Mhm.
and Jimmy didn't hit anything. He got hit.
Right.
So you're right. Jimmy and Solo were great heels in this. They were formidable enough where you thought if LA Knight and Randy Orton did not get along, the Bloodline would win this one, and you wouldn't have been surprised.
Mhm.
But they got along at the end. They shook hands. LA Knight and Randy Orton at the end kind of shook hands, winked at each other, and did the hand raise. So I'm going with your formula here that suddenly the WWE has built up a lot of strong baby faces.
Mhm.
This is weird for the WWE, at least since we've been watching and doing Don't Bury the Lead. It seems like it's been weird for even longer than that. This is new ground for the modern era, isn't it?
Oh, for sure. And I think they cooled RKO off enough where he hasn't been Randy Orton hasn't been there. RKO,
Yeah.
that's his finisher. Randy Orton hasn't been there.
Yep.
But
His initials too.
okay, yeah, so okay, I can call him RKO. So
Yeah.
he hasn't been in the fray for a while. So
Mhm.
it's good to see him back. And I think based off like we've been kind of given like meh reviews. Like sometimes we gave two thumbs down last week, which we
Yep.
rarely do.
Mhm.
And I think that he was needed and he kind of hopefully invigorate the show. Um, but yeah, this was a good tag team match. They gave us a real match. They actually wrestled. They gave them like 15, 20 minutes to go through everything. And the crowd was boiling hot. You know, you can't ask for much more.
The crowd enjoyed it, right? And we enjoyed it at home, and the crowd enjoyed it in the arena. And part of the crowd enjoying it came through on the screen. And it's fun to watch a match on TV when the wrestlers are there and the crowd's playing along. If anybody's watching us on Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, and you've got any comments you want to send into the live chat, what did you think of tonight's main event? Randy Orton and LA Knight, did you like the psychology they were doing? What about the babyface situation in the WWE? What say any of you about are there too many baby faces, which is a problem that we haven't had to discuss in the WWE for a while? Too many baby faces near the top of the card. Or do you think they can kind of coexist if they do enough things like tonight's main event? So let us know there. Anytime you feel like you want to get your opinion off your chest. John's controlling the board there. Maybe we'll throw it up on the screen and divert and discuss whatever anybody wants to discuss. I don't have much more about the main event, but I do want to talk more about Randy Orton and LA Knight because of how they built this through the show
Yeah.
and also tying in CM Punk, which might be our second biggest story of the night, isn't it? I mean, right before this match goes off, this main event, LA Knight finds Randy Orton backstage. And before they can say anything to each other, because they're just kind of looking at each other, like, it's the first time they've met.
Hmm.
CM Punk kind of walks into the camera shot and he's just looking at them. And so they both turn to CM Punk, like, what are you doing here? And CM Punk said, very little dialogue, but effective. CM Punk says, good luck, boys, and walks off. And then Randy and LA look at each other again. Randy goes, you ready for tonight? And what does LA Knight say? Yeah,
Right.
that's it. That's it. It was 8 words. Good luck, boys. You ready for tonight? Yeah.
Good enough, right? We don't need this huge dialogue for that backstage stuff. I think you get the point.
Yep.
CM Punk's going to be floating in the back in the locker room, tearing things up. Kind of a
Trying to
real.
say hello to people, right? Because he's a new guy, but he's an old guy, right?
Mhm.
Does it make sense that he's going around like trying to see who still likes him?
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do with them. And I guess they have to just call out the elephant in the room that he often is a locker room problem and has been
Sure.
in the past. So I guess they're just playing into that a little bit with him kind of going around and starting stuff in the locker room like he's been wanting to do in the previous company at AEW, and constantly battling with all types of people. But I think this works for him. It's weird to see. It's almost weird for me to see him backstage because I've watched him so much in AEW. Like,
Okay.
it's weird to see him doing the backstage segments now because it's like I never thought he would be back in WWE at this caliber, and here he is, just back, one of the guys on the roster. Which probably it leads us into the follow here.
Yeah.
So,
Has it
um,
sunk in for you yet that CM Punk is back in the WWE?
yeah, I mean,
It has. Okay.
tonight certainly the uh with the
13-minute promo at the 9 o'clock hour.
the 13-minute promo. So I joked about this with you in the studio, but after having weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks of Bryson Waller doing the 9 p.m. hour, we're getting CM Punk, a little bit different of a style, a different
Different vibe,
vibe for sure.
you know.
So I've seen a lot of CM Punk in AEW, in the last years that he's been there, 2 years or so. What did you think of CM Punk? I know you haven't really seen him in years, so what did you think?
I thought this was going to drag just looking at the clock, but the crowd was not getting bored. And if they had the show formatted properly, then yeah, let him go 13 minutes from, his music hitting until he finally drops the mic, 13, 14 minutes. Okay, I'll take it. He did something really cool. And whenever wrestlers who've been around a long time do this for a wrestler who's first year, second year, whatever, I notice it. I mean, like Kevin Nash back in WCW did this for Diamond Dallas Page. He was in the ring and they were talking. He and Scott Hall were in their NWO, and they're talking about, some of the guys that the crowd likes. And he said something to the effect like, "I know you're going to do this. I know you're going to chant DDP's name." And it was just that subliminal thing. The crowd starts chanting DDP's name.
Yeah.
And it was such a cool move for Kevin Nash to do.
Hmm.
Because he's just setting up the crowd to get over this guy who's, he's getting a push, but he's not there yet. CM Punk tonight, he's talking about different wrestlers who he's meeting maybe for the first time. Kevin Owens, who also likes to punch people backstage. And then he gets to Randy Orton, who he has a history with. He says, but maybe I think I'd get along with his tag team partner tonight. And then instead of saying LA Knight, he just holds up the finger and he does the point. And the crowd goes LA Knight.
Hmm.
What a cool thing for CM Punk to do for LA Knight. Like, he's getting LA Knight over when the promo's not about LA Knight and he's not even in the ring. Like, he's not even involved. And when guys do that for each other, when guy who's established does that for guy who's hot but who's new to that level, I I like that. I think that's a really cool thing to do. And if you had no idea that CM Punk was known as a jerk backstage to his fellow wrestlers, you'd have seen this tonight and said, "Oh, this guy must be gold backstage."
Yeah.
Look at what he did for all these other wrestlers, dropping their names during his huge promo time.
Yeah. I thought that was great. I thought it was a very good promo and really interesting that he can go out for the 13 minutes, but he's been doing that for for a while here. Letting the crowd, like giving him the give and take between him and the crowd
Yes.
is something that you can see. We've had these promos, and I just buried them. But Grayson Waller, definitely one who hasn't had any concept at all on like back and forth with the crowd. And then Logan Paul, who's learning, whatever he's learning. He's not a natural at a promo whatsoever, and he's learning. But you can see that he's not really getting what to do. He's getting the what chant. He doesn't really know what to do with the what chant. That's got to be like 101. Like you're going to get the what chant tonight. There's got to be somewhere to go. But CM Punk, it felt, and this is a credit to him, it didn't feel all that staged. It seems like he had like a loose set of things he was going to say and who he's going to attack, and it's pretty simple. He kind of ran down the roster. And so there was one thing I found very, very relatable with CM Punk.
Okay.
He mixed up Jimmy and Jay's name. So he kind of mentioned Jay, and then he said Jimmy, and then he kind of like fixed it and said Jay. So he mixed up Jimmy and Jay. I do that all the time. I call Jay Jimmy. I call Jimmy Jay. I do it constantly. So for me, that was the most relatable moment. I'm like, dude, I know it's hard. I mix them up, especially because it's the first initials J and the last initials Y. So my brain is always like thinks it's the same name, right? So,
well, they're twins. I mean, it's
hey. So I know we're talking a lot about the CM Punk promo here.
Yep.
Did you feel like he turned it up a little bit when he started talking about Seth Rollins and the intensity, let's just say?
It was a little bit, but I also noticed that the crowd wanted that. I mean, the crowd started singing Seth Rollins' entrance music. It's those three notes. And CM Punk let him do it. He held the microphone up to him, and then he started almost conducting them like, yeah, do it. Do it. Like, hey, we got the time. It's only 9:00. It's not 9:56.
But then, I mean, and this is sometimes a shot that, maybe sometimes I've said about it. Sometimes it feels like he's just the theme song, Seth Rollins. And CM Punk said that. He said, that's all he has is the theme song.
Yep.
So I thought
when he's not there, all he has is the theme song.
But I thought that was kind of a shot. And he called his voice whiny, which it is kind of whiny. So I was like, I think that, it's pro wrestling, they're digs, but I was like, okay, he's going after him, How
about the best one he gave him?
Oh, I've heard this one before. Your wife.
You're not even the man in your own household.
That one I think is fair. I've heard that one before.
Okay.
But yeah,
I have not.
So overall, excited to have CM Punk. Hope he signs with SmackDown after seeing him perform tonight.
Sure. Yeah. I'd like to see more of him. Although that'll mean 2 A-listers on SmackDown very quickly with Randy Orton and CM Punk. And Randy Orton looks like he's going to be a babyface. CM Punk, I don't know which way they would play him. It may be kind of, that new car smell is on him right now, and people are going to cheer him. But maybe in a month or two, they'll be booing him. He'll settle into a heel role somewhere. He'll actually do something that's booable, and the crowd will go along and boo him. I like where they're going with this. Of course, I'd want to see more CM Punk. He hasn't punched anybody in the backstage area yet.
Although he's known for that, which he said. Yes. That was interesting. That was the only line that landed a little flat. Was he said he punches people in the backstage, and I wonder if the crowd looking around, it seemed like there was lots of military guys there. Yep. So I don't know if they're like deep in the dirt sheets. Let's just say maybe they're not like knowing that about, they don't really aren't paying attention that deep into like, the AEW drama, dirt sheet stuff that we run on the page. We do it. So
we've done it. Little cheap heat. Not yet, but
Not yet. It's not.
I can
cheap
feel it.
yet.
It's almost there. It's coming.
Anything else you want to talk about with the CM Punk promo?
He's doing stuff backstage. You know, he talks to Kevin Owens. They do their little face off. Hey, we each like to punch people in the face backstage. He had mentioned Cody Rhodes, who was a surprise visitor tonight to SmackDown. He got some ring time in the first hour. Really, it was just to set up a lot of the tribute to the troop stuff. He didn't do much talking about his own programs that are going on over on Raw. So not much else to see. They're fast playing this hand, aren't they? Like CM Punk, they've thrown him into the deep end. He's dropping everybody's names. They're having him like cross paths with people backstage. They're not slow playing this like other people, you know.
No, it's not like a Jade Cargill situation.
It is not, right?
He is
Who I
in
think
there.
we will talk more about a little bit later. But yeah, this is not Jade Cargill. They signed CM Punk Saturday afternoon. He was on Survivor Series that evening.
Yeah.
Now he's been on Raw, and now he's been on SmackDown. He's been signed for not even 2 full weeks. He's already been at a pay-per-view. He's been on a Raw, and he's been on SmackDown.
Yeah, hopefully he maintains himself as a free agent. I think that would probably be the voice of the voiceless kind of rebel thing to do, right? Not
Okay.
signed to a brand. But hopefully, and I'm thinking that wishful thinking that he stays on SmackDown. But who knows with the contract? I know Raw's got a big contract discussion with cable TV right now.
Yeah.
So maybe they're just they'll load up Raw and then give all the scraps to SmackDown. I hope that's not the case, but
Okay. Well, Roman Reigns was teased as being on next week's SmackDown. If they would really needed some boost to ratings over on Raw or something, I mean, they'd put Roman Reigns and tease him on Raw, wouldn't they? I would.
yeah, for sure.
I'd bring him onto a Raw. I mean, he's not going to wrestle. He can go out and talk on both the Monday and the Friday.
Heyman could show up, do some talking. He could do some talking.
You know, I mean, he's not going to have a match. He can show up 2 days to work a week.
Mm-hmm.
So, where else do you want to go? We've talked about promos and in-ring dynamics and psychology, but in addition to the main event, we had 3 other matches, and I don't think any of them were bad. These were 3 pretty good TV matches. What was your favorite of the 3 remaining matches?
For several reasons, I'll go with this one.
Okay.
Karrion Kross versus Bobby Lashley.
Okay.
Bobby Lashley goes over Karrion Kross.
Yep.
The big Hoss match.
Yeah.
I liked this match for 2 reasons.
Okay.
Bobby Lashley's way over. The crowd was going crazy, was really into him and cheering for him. This could be a result of what you said earlier. The crowd was just really into everything, and they were just an excellent crowd.
He's a former Army sergeant.
Oh.
And his dad was a long-time military guy. So when this came out, I'm going, okay, Bobby Lashley is a babyface tonight. And I wrote that down in my notes.
Okay.
He's babyface tonight. And they had him facing the right guy. They had him facing a big Hoss heel, like you were saying. So for one night, Bobby Lashley was going to be a babyface, no doubt about it.
Okay. Totally makes sense. I was like, wow. I'm like, he's not really going to be, I mean, like, he's so over as a face. I was like, how are they going to make him? Okay. It's like if somebody wrestled in their hometown. He's wrestling in front of troops. He's an Army sergeant.
Yep.
He's a great representation of the military. I mean, he's an awesome, great pro wrestler, great talker. So,
but you're right. I mean, people might just want to cheer for Bobby Lashley. He's done so well as a character. People like to see him wrestle.
Yeah, he's one of my wife's favorites. She like is. Oh yeah, Bobby Lashley. He's great.
And I can understand it.
He's got an it factor for sure.
Yep.
So one reason is Bobby Lashley's over. The second reason, our boy Karrion Kross, one of our first earlier TikToks that got over.
Yes.
Or shorts.
Yeah.
Are about talking about Karrion Kross's gimmick.
Yes.
We didn't really get it at all. And I think like we got like 200 views. I was like, oh my God. He's got 200 views for a short. Like, we're doing it. So
It's a weird intro. Like they play up this guy like he's like he's Roman Reigns or Seth Rollins or something. Like Bobby Lashley leaves the ring so he can do whatever the thing is with the colored lights, you know.
yeah,
But I like this match because it was two physically compatible guys, both tall guys, thick guys. And Bobby Lashley gets the win in about 7 minutes. Karrion Kross went in to charge him. Bobby Lashley just caught him, lifted him up the air, and slammed him. Then waited for Kross to stagger to his feet and speared him for a pinfall. But Karrion Kross got his shots in too. There were a few times when Bobby Lashley was staggered around and selling properly. But in the end, I mean, Bobby Lashley's got to win this.
oh yeah, for sure. Well, Dom, that's Bobby Lashley versus Karrion Kross. Maybe I'll kick it to you for the next match you want to talk about.
I like Charlotte Flair versus Asuka. I like that they're still teasing what's going on with Bayley and Damage Control. Asuka comes out for this one-on-one match with three Entourage members. It's Dakota Kai, it's Io Sky with the belt, and it's Kairi Sane. And before the bell, Michin and Zelina Vega attack from the front. Shotzi and Bianca Belair attack from the entrance area, and they basically just corral and send the rest of Damage Control to the back. So this is a one-on-one matchup, or so we thought. Asuka goes over in about 7 minutes here, rolling up Charlotte Flair. Bayley, who's been on the outs with the rest of Damage Control, did not get out to the ring with them. So she was free to emerge from the crowd and interfere in this match just a little bit. She grabbed Charlotte's arm when Charlotte was trying to go for the figure eight, bridging into it on Asuka. And then she got up on the apron as a distraction. And eventually, Charlotte Flair winds up slugging Bayley off of the apron, but that allows Asuka to roll up Charlotte Flair for the pinfall. So this time, Bayley's late involvement helps her Damage Control teammate get the win. So Bayley's 1 out of 2 in showing up late and trying to help somebody. So she's batting 500. I don't know what kind of percentage that is in pro wrestling for interfering on the outside and whether or not your friend wins there or not. But decent match in Charlotte Flair and Asuka. I mean, they're both so fast. They're so athletic and agile, flexible.
You really can't go wrong with Charlotte and Asuka.
It's fun watching them for 7 minutes. Like they do all the stuff, and they do the stuff in ways that other people don't do it. Yeah, I like the match.
Mm-hmm. No.
And I like the story that they keep telling. What say you did? Did they give them enough time? They only gave them 7 minutes for all of this. I didn't think they overstayed their welcome, but I could have seen this match go another 3, 4, 5 minutes if they had the time, but they didn't with all the stuff they were doing.
It's better to be shorter, and maybe CM Punk got all the time he needed. And they had whatever the main event was in between Punk's rant. So maybe they got that little shortened amount of time. But ultimately, I feel like it's all about the finish and where the storyline's taking them. We've seen them wrestle several times. I mean, you could watch those two wrestle an Iron Man match, a 60-minute match, and you'd be like, yeah, they're fantastic together.
Yeah.
In Charlotte. But ultimately, happy enough with the match, especially the storyline they're kind of setting up with Damage Control. Man, this you called this out maybe last year. I didn't really get this gimmick in this group, but you had been speaking pretty highly of them, and they have just slowly but surely worked their way up as a top stable in the company.
On the women's side, yeah, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because Rhea Ripley is in kind of a mixed stable. It's not a female-only stable. There are a few tag teams out there, but as far as a real gang in the women's division, this is it. It's Damage Control. I like it.
Yeah, perfect. Well, anything else you want to talk about with this match?
Not from this match. Good stuff, and it has some legs going forward. Bianca Belair has to go through the rest of Damage Control. Charlotte Flair might have to also in order to get a shot at Io Sky. There's the Bailey stuff. They're all entertaining. Poor Dakota Kai. I wonder if she'll ever be recovered from that knee injury and be able to do any physical stuff. Because she's kind of taken over as the mouthpiece.
She's been pretty good as a mouthpiece.
Yeah.
Only because I really haven't heard her talk. And now I'm hearing her talk. I'm like, yeah, this actually kind of might work.
She's got personality. She knows what she's doing. She's got pretty good timing. She's serviceable in this role.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any weak links.
Mm-hmm. Serviceable is a good way to put it. She's not really maybe she could. I don't know. Maybe she could tear it up at some point.
She's not Paul Heyman. She's not the wise woman of Damage Control.
She's not Paul Heyman. She's not Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Getting up on her phone, call Io Sky.
Paul Heyman, what a guy.
Who was not here tonight for the Bloodline match at the end? Just a note there.
Yeah.
Maybe Paul Heyman gets a week off every now and then. Good for him. He's earned it.
I know. My God. I wonder if that is because Hanukkah. Shout out to our Jewish listeners, watchers. Happy Hanukkah. So yeah,
happy Hanukkah, everybody. Maybe Paul Heyman. They've played that up before. And I have cringed at that before, where they've made him like the slimy, manipulative guy, which is a great character, but then sometimes they make him overtly Jewish.
Yeah.
Like suddenly he's using Jewish terms and talking about synagogue. And I'm going, oh. No. You don't have to make him slimy Jewish guy. You can just make him slimy guy.
Yeah,
like
right.
You don't need to go there. But apparently he is genuinely Jewish, practices his faith perhaps. Happy Hanukkah to Paul Heyman and to anyone else out there in Don't Bury the Lead land.
Right. All right. So moving
One
on.
more match. And it was the second longest match of the night, right? It was the opener.
Yeah. Is this
another first round US Championship tournament match? Santos Escobar versus Dragon Lee. What happened here, John?
Well, Santos Escobar versus Dragon Lee. Did Santos Escobar go over?
He went over. He knocked Dragon Lee off the top turnbuckle and lifted him into the Phantom Driver for a pinfall. 9 minutes into this match.
They just wrestled, right? Dragon Lee and
Santos
Escobar?
But Survivor Series, didn't they get a pay-per-view match?
They got a pay-per-view
match that made us scratch our heads and go, why is this on a pay-per-view?
Yeah.
How did this match get onto one of the big four?
Yeah.
Okay, I go watch it. And then they just did it again on the SmackDown, Dominic Mysterio was out for this one.
Oh, right.
Over at the announce table, but not on a microphone at all. He's just there. So they gave him the Austin Theory treatment.
Okay.
Like, we'll let you sit out here, but we don't want you to talk on the microphone for anybody to hear you. And apparently he's got a big thing coming up with Dragon Lee for the North American Championship on NXT. So they had him come in and, stand over the fallen Dragon Lee afterwards after Santos Escobar exited.
Hey, we've got some people kind of piling in here on the chat. Feel free.
Hey, give us a comment. What think you about these matches we've gone through tonight? What are your takes on our takes? What are your takes just on what you saw?
Yeah, anything you want to talk about, we will talk about. Most anything. Within reason.
Wrestling related.
Right. Perfect. So
because we know pro wrestling.
Santos Escobar always seems to kind of be finding himself in this tournament and these types of tournaments and going a little bit further.
Yep.
Hopefully, it's good to see him get a win too. And hopefully they do something with him down the road with Rey Mysterio. That's what we're really hoping for.
You've mentioned, you've noticed his moveset modified since they're trying to push him as a heel now.
Mm-hmm.
Against a guy like Dragon Lee, who's going to bring out all of the flips. Santos Escobar looks pretty good in there. You like the new moveset for the heel?
Yeah, I actually like his moveset as a heel. In general, I think it's
Yes.
improved. Not just as a
Okay.
face or heel, but just the fact that he's not doing the lucha stuff. He's kind of being like a little bit more strong style, if you will.
Mhm.
Kind of just doing the wrestling moves and not the flippy stuff. So, I mean, that just makes me happy. I think everybody should do that. I think everybody needs to take a step back and do that. So,
Agreed. I think that's our show. I don't have anything else here from the SmackDown here. Do you?
I don't. But do you know what that means, Dom?
Uh-oh. It's drive time. It's the thumb drive. We're going to distill everything down into a simple pass fail here. There are no star ratings. There are no letter grades. There are no number grades. You're taking this course pass fail. SmackDown, what do you got? You're getting a thumbs up or a thumbs down. That's it. That's the score.
Dom, we're not Dave Meltzer. We don't
We
do
are
star
not.
ratings. We just give a thumbs up or thumbs down to the show. So ready? 3, 2, 1. Yeah, thumbs up.
This was pretty much in the bag. The crowd was into the show the whole night. That made the show even more fun. There were no bad matches. We got a real main event that felt like a main event. It had the gravitas of Randy Orton and LA Knight and the Bloodline. We got a CM Punk appearance. We got a lot of interesting stuff in this show, and it was formatted a little differently. It's been a while since they've had a real banger of just a promo at the 9 o'clock hour that
Yeah.
really worked.
Yeah.
That didn't feel like, oh, they're just filling a little more time here. But I like the show. I have no real complaints about the show. I mean, could some stuff have been better? Maybe, but they've only got 2 hours on the air. I think they got a lot of stuff done tonight. Storyline wise, they gave us some pretty good matches. Did we get any thumbs up or thumbs down from anybody watching us on Twitch, Facebook, or YouTube?
We shall see. But
We shall see.
I'll tell you what. The thing is with this specific show, you take the 9 o'clock hour and you cut out whatever the Grayson Waller effect is, and you plug in a CM Punk promo. You can see it's so much better. And it does help that CM Punk is super fresh right now.
Mhm.
But the style in which he does the promo versus what Grayson Waller does, with all the talk show stuff, all the goofy, dumb stuff that's like so cringe and awful. And then you have the CM Punk thing where you don't know what he's going to say up there.
Yeah.
And he's kind of going back and forth and he's putting everybody over and he's kind of putting everyone on blast and saying, I'm going to win the Royal Rumble and beat Roman Reigns for the title. So
There were a lot of A-listers on this show, right?
yeah.
No Grayson Waller, no Austin Theory, no really anything.
We got a comment from Mr. Spellman.
All right.
Love popping in here and you guys talk about the show at the end of the night. Jay Spellman, a good friend of mine. And
all right.
So thank you for hopping in. And Jay, anything you want us to talk about, we'll do it within reason.
Hey, that's Mr. Spellman to you.
Right. This is true. That's Mr. Spellman to me. And
I love it. Thank you.
We're going to move on here. We're through the thumb drive. We'll move on to our next segment. Cheap Heat, baby.
It's getting a little cheap in here, isn't it?
It is. It is. Cheap Heat is a segment where we talk about trending topics to make cheap little 2, 3, 4, 5-minute videos. They get a lot of views as a result of the fact that they're trending. We'll be talking about WWE, AEW, NWA, anything with pro wrestling. So I'm going to go ahead. I'll share Dom's screen and we'll walk through these trending topics.
Very good. Yeah, we watch SmackDown every week, but hey, the pro wrestling world is bigger than just one episodic weekly show that you and I watch. And here's our chance to acknowledge some of it. WWE, they're doing this big thing with their title belts for sports teams. Well, they were at the Big 12 Championship on Saturday, and there's The Undertaker presenting the Big 12 Texas Longhorns Championship belt to Quinn Ewers of Texas after they won the Big 12. Fantastic. Some people who were there for WWE in this tweet here. We've got, let's see, that's Samantha Irvin, who is a fantastic ring announcer. Who else is there? That's Michelle McCool next to The Undertaker. They are husband and wife, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That is Sheamus. That is Drew McIntyre, who looks enormous. Everyone else looks like a midget next to Drew McIntyre. And between Sheamus and Drew, there has been a Jade Cargill sighting. Jade Cargill was at this event here for the Big 12 championship game, college football. Jade Cargill, we talked about CM Punk getting thrown into the deep end here. He signed on a Saturday afternoon. He's on the pay-per-view a couple of hours later. Jade Cargill, it's been a while. What's she up to? The Dallas Morning News is trying to figure that out as well. A little one-on-one with WWE's Jade Cargill here. She keeps talking up how she's ready. She's ready. But she's also saying that she wants the storyline to be really good and really top-notch when they finally debut her. So her interview here is, on her experience so far with WWE, when you have the monster behind you, backing you, the sky is the limit. So she is still very, very happy to be in the WWE. It sounds like she's getting a taste of, how the top brand in pro wrestling trains you. AEW they've got a good product, but it's more like you've got to be polished when you get there. Otherwise, you're going to be learning on the job a lot. WWE is more like, okay, we're going to polish you off camera and then let you show up when we think you're ready. How close do you think it is to you being Jade Cargill inside a WWE ring for real? So you want me to reveal what we have in the works? It seems no, she's not. But she says the fan base should be patient. At what point does the rest of the women's division just leave her behind? Because the women's division is so hot in the WWE. I want to see Jade Cargill wrestle, but are they risking people just forgetting about her?
Yeah.
There's so much else going on.
Kind of interesting to hear her sort of blame AEW for not training her well enough, for not being a good wrestler.
Does it sound like that a little? Yeah.
Not exactly showing a lot of accountability. So I don't know if she could have come in as a heel, but that is definitely some heel stuff. Listen, the last place I was at didn't train me, so I don't know what I'm doing. And, ultimately that could be true. They kind of pushed her a little fast, and I think that's probably an honest observation from her. Maybe you can either look at it two ways, because it's all written, right? It's all like a written interview, so it's tough to kind of see
facial expressions, voice inflections.
Yeah.
Is she doing the Seth Rollins mocking thing?
Yes, right. But no, I think it's interesting that she's pointed out that in her previous company, they weren't training her enough. I think you got to seek out and do that yourself. I mean, I'm sure if you go to anybody there and say, "Hey, listen, I need some help," they have Daniel Bryan on the roster. They had CM Punk. They had Cody. Like, I'm sure those guys can lend you a hand, right? So I think some of it you got to do yourself. You can't just be like, I need to be trained and this is how I need to be trained, right?
The WWE Universe knows exactly what they're doing. I trust them. I believe in this system. And when they see me in that ring, understand there's no turning back. She is still very optimistic, which she should be. I'm going to say that they risk having me forget about her.
Yeah.
It's not like the women's division is hurting and you're like going, oh, we really need Jade Cargill. Women's division is on fire in the WWE, especially on SmackDown that you and I watch. The longer this goes, the bigger the splash has to be when she shows up, right?
Yeah. I feel like hopefully she debuts soon, and she's on some sort of speed course with them because, like you said, she debuted so early, and then they showed that she was there, and then they kind of haven't put her out there yet. I don't know if this helps build it, or like you said, it makes you forget who she is.
It has to be by Royal Rumble, right? If Royal Rumble comes and goes and there's no Jade Cargill, we start scratching our heads and going, "What's going on?" I would at least tell us in the comments. What are they running out of time to really pull the trigger on Jade Cargill here?
And
tell us in the live chat if you're watching right now on the live stream.
One thing I'll point out, if she does debut at the Royal Rumble, that's not an easy match.
No, it's not, right?
I mean, there's a lot of spots involved and a lot of communication to get all 29 or 30 of the wrestlers in and get one remaining. Yep. And that's really tough. So if there's a concern with her, just like where she's at from a pro wrestling standpoint, I'm not so sure I would want to debut her at the Royal Rumble, unless, I mean, you're going to have her in the corner and really be, Natalia's going to have to be talking to her the whole time, you know? You know, it'll just be Natalia and her, and Natalia be like, all right, do this, you know?
Well, then we know that Natalia's got to be in the Royal Rumble, and she can't get knocked out early.
No, she'll have to hang in there with Jade. Tell her what to do. I mean, I just think of the most reliable hand that the WWE has, probably Natty. So.
Sure, she's a good callback when you need something like that. Yeet has been missing for a little while because apparently this comes to us from WrestleZone. Jey Uso's new catchphrase, an independent wrestler filed for the Yeet trademark. The application has been suspended. I don't know what this means. Apparently this wrestler filed to trademark Yeet and Yeet movement in 2021. Both are filed under entertainment services related to pro wrestling. The application for Yeet has been suspended since October of 2022. You either trademark it or you don't. What's going on? It's 4 letters.
How could you trademark a word? That's crazy.
I mean, companies trademark their brands and their company names, so I could see that. But you file for the trademark in 2021, in 2022, almost 2023. It's suspended. Well, what's going on? Is the WWE trying to buy Yeet from Casey Huffman?
Yeah, I mean, I would probably put it up, you know, how much could Casey Huffman want for Yeet? Nobody knows what it means for him. So
apparently he was doing a lot of merch for the WWE. So how much would the WWE be willing to pay for Yeet?
Yeah.
Considering how much merch they were moving.
You know, can he take a couple $1,000 and he'll buy the trademark? And I think that's like got to be what it's worth. Because if
they, hire him as an agent backstage, he does a few match finishes.
Hey, let him go
I've
out.
never heard of Casey Huffman. Yeet.
Yeet is his though. Maybe he wants to hang on to it because he knows it's over right now. So he could be the Yeet man. I mean,
time's a wasting. It's December. I mean, we could be selling Yeet Navidad shirts, right?
Right. Yeet Navidad shirts.
That's close enough to the lyric, right?
Right.
Yeet Navidad. There we go.
I'll tell you what.
I only know English. I'm a dunce when it comes to languages, so the joke's on me.
This is interesting to see this because usually it's the other way around with WWE owning all the copyrights and the trademarks. Like, for example, when wrestlers leave the WWE, they have to change their name.
Yes.
Great example would be Edge is the rated R superstar in AEW right now because
Adam Copeland, right? He's going by his regular name, right?
Adam Copeland. And Cody Rhodes was Cody in AEW because Cody Rhodes was trademarked. They own the rights to Cody Rhodes. They own the rights to his name. He had to be.
I did not know that.
So he would come out as Cody.
Okay.
Mhm.
Huh. Well, if Casey Hutman can make a little bit of change for himself here, let's do it. A big old
Hey,
chunk of change.
good for him, right? Right
Good
place,
for
right
him.
time.
Speaking of AEW, Chris Jericho, someone asked him about going into the WWE Hall of Fame. And so that's where this conversation started. It's not like Chris Jericho just goes around, saying, "Hey, you want to have a conversation? I want to bash the WWE Hall of Fame for you." So this was a setup. Somebody asked him about this apparently. WWE Hall of Fame. Have you ever gotten into that? I have to say, I really haven't as a wrestling fan.
No, it. I think it's actually not too bad to watch the Friday night before. Like they do an okay job for the Friday night before WrestleMania, but I don't really
Okay.
take a lot of credence in like who's in the WWE Hall of Fame and who isn't. Like I think for years Vader wasn't in the WWE Hall of Fame, but Rikishi was. And
Ah,
Rikishi, I was like, this is an interesting guy in pro wrestling. Now he's got his sons, for sure, are excellent, but
mm,
he was never really a guy that felt like a Hall of Famer. Seemed like he
okay.
was really strange gimmick that he had.
You know who is in the Hall of Fame? Rey Mysterio,
This is true. The hardest,
who's now rehabbing a knee injury because he wants to keep wrestling, even though he's retired and in the Hall of Fame.
right?
That's who's in the Hall of Fame. So the Hall of Fame is so special that Rey Mysterio is like, yeah, I think I'll keep wrestling, even though I keep getting hurt. Chris Jericho, I always like going against the grain. I don't really understand the point of the Hall of Fame, he said. If you think I'm in it, great. But there's no real Hall of Fame. It's not like a physical place like Cooperstown for baseball or what is it, Springfield, Ohio for the Football Hall of Fame.
Mhm.
It's the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame somewhere in Indiana, maybe. Um, it's all in WWE's mind. Does it really matter if I'm in it or not? I go up there and give some approved speech where I have 5 minutes to encapsulate 33 years. I'm not interested in that at this point, and it's not a disrespectful thing. I don't really see the benefits of it. Okie doke.
Yeah.
The other thing is Chris Jericho. They're talking about this because he's 50 something years old. It's late in his career. Does it look like Chris Jericho has some years left in him at the level that he wants to wrestle as Chris Jericho? They say he remains a fixture in AEW Dynamite and AEW Collision. Um,
So
so what do you think? You've seen Chris Jericho wrestle in AEW. Does he look like he's on his last legs, or can he go? Has he adjusted well to being an older wrestler, and does he still have a lot of years left as a performer?
I think he's got some time left, and he's
Okay.
definitely wrestled some good matches. One thing he did that was really cool. So he was supposed to wrestle this jobber, and he didn't have a theme song. And he's like, I'm going to go out and I'm going to beat this jobber. So he goes out and he has his theme song his way over. The jobbers are standing there, no theme song. And the jobber kind of puts a move on him. And he's like surprised. And then like they go back and forth. Him and the jobber are like a little bit more evenly matched. And then like Chris starts to take over. And the jobber wins. So the jobber actually won the match. And he was just like one of the guys in the developmental. So
Okay.
and the thing is, the whole time the crowd's chanting, "Let's go, jobber! Let's go, jobber!" So he knows that like giving a jobber is like the best person that could beat him, right? So
Okay.
they didn't do much with him, unfortunately. I didn't go over it that well, but I thought it was like really creative stuff that he's done. Um,
Did he have the AEW top belt for a while?
yeah, when they first started, he was really good, honestly. When they
Okay.
started the company, he had come from New Japan and he was the IWGP US champ. And he was wrestling really good. Like
Hmm.
he was really good when they first started. He has slowed down a little bit here, but he's still very athletic. It's pretty crazy.
Okay.
So
Good to know. From one guy who's not retiring to one guy who is retiring, and a guy who supposedly has already retired. The New York Post had an article here about Sting, inside Sting's retirement plan and the AEW goal that will shape it. What was interesting to me most of all in this, because we've heard so much about Sting's retirement, they've planned it for the early March pay-per-view, whatever that's called. The name is escaping me, but it's going to be early March. They're going to drag it. What was it?
The Evolution, AEW Evolution.
AEW Evolution, okay. So it's going to be right after Sting turns 65 or right before he turns 65. Interesting here to me is they brought up Ric Flair. Ric Flair has been out there for Sting's final run. Flair being involved in Sting's final run came together recently as AEW was approached by Flair's Woo Energy drink company about becoming a sponsor. They're apparently getting paid to put Ric Flair on TV. They might be making money on this deal. They may be getting more from Woo Energy than they're paying Ric Flair for his appearances. It's not quite exactly the same, but in the 90s, WCW had Macho Man Randy Savage on the roster. And that was when he was a big promotional guy for Slim Jim, spokesperson for Slim Jim. Step into a Slim Jim. And so Slim Jim was footing a large portion of Macho Man's salary to be on WCW. So WCW was only paying out a real discount rate on Randy Savage because of the promotions that were involved in. Sounds like AEW is getting that same thing here. They seem to be paying a discount for Flair, or even making out a little bit in the black on Ric Flair being here.
Because what Ric Flair does is he promotes his drink on the show.
Okay.
And, no, I'm asking, is that like what they're thinking?
Maybe him just being out there in the public eye makes it a bigger deal. Like Ric Flair's on TV every week.
Oh, yeah.
You know, get him out there, keep him in the public eye. Now, there's been... Now, Tony Khan said, we're not paying Ric Flair. Ric Flair is essentially paying us. We're getting paid by Woo Energy for all of his appearances. So we're collecting revenue for them. According to an AEW spokesperson, however, Flair has a separate talent agreement in place with the company outside of the sponsorship deal that compensates him for his work. So I think what Tony Khan is trying to say, maybe a little clumsily, is that Woo's paying them more than they're paying Flair. So they're making out positive cash flow in the whole arrangement.
Yeah. So Woo Energy knows we need to get Ric Flair out and about and in a pro wrestling show, and they'll pay to have him up there and, you know, hey, put him on these certain segments and have him be around Sting. And then ultimately, you know, they're paying his contract in AEW, which is interesting.
Yes. So good stuff. Ric Flair, he's still got his, you know, dipping his toes in a bunch of different business pools there. Good for him. And we've talked about before, he's really old, but, you know, if he's not going to wrestle, seeing Ric Flair on TV, kind of fun, right? Yeah.
He was a manager for his daughter, and he would just go out there, do the thing, hang outside of the ring.
That's right, in WWE for Charlotte.
Yeah, he can hang around as a novelty act, as an old man that's one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. I think it's an open door policy. If his music plays and he's anywhere, people are going to go crazy, right?
Yes. Especially once he walks out and they see him, that it's not like a joke or something.
I'll tell you what, maybe I'll include this in the video at some point, but I went, and when Ric Flair came out, the crowd went crazy, and I was in an AEW show.
Yes.
And if you want to look through our channel, there is a video of me at the AEW show.
Find us on YouTube and subscribe. That's where our archive of shorts and video clips and our live streams are all stored. If you're watching us on Twitch, thank you very much. We can't store stuff on Twitch. It's only for live streaming. Come and visit us on YouTube. Look for Don't Bury the Lead on YouTube. If you're watching us on Facebook, again, thank you very much. Give us a like there. Maybe boost us a little bit. But the mother load of content is on YouTube. Find us on YouTube. Give us a subscribe there. We're up. We've just crept over 350 subscribers, haven't we?
That's true. Over 350.
That
We're
is
rolling.
excellent news. I like it. We're up over 160,000 total views for across all pieces of content on our channel in a little more than 14 months here. So thank you everybody who's been subscribing, watching, liking, commenting. It's been a blast. We like to see sort of a don't bury the lead ecosystem developing here. That's a lot of fun for me. I know it's a lot of fun for you, John, since you do most of the monitoring of the video. You produce the videos and you do the monitoring of the comments that come in and interact with some of the people who get in there with us. So that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Hey, we've got one more cheap heat here.
Mm-hmm.
The NWA is bringing back the territories. We've talked about territories before. EC3 has a territory in sort of the Midwest. They've announced a second territory, NWA JCP Southeast. And if you're like me and you see JCP, those initials, you think Jim Crockett Promotions. It's like, what? They're bringing back Jim Crockett Promotions? No, it's apparently Joe Kazana's. It's Joe Kazana Promotion. Okay, and it's the Southeast, which is Florida, I guess Atlanta, Georgia, those areas as well.
Hey, Dom, can you take this one over? I got to just step away.
Sure, we got it. We have talked about the territories before because John and I, we live in southern New Jersey, which is the Philadelphia metropolitan area. And Philadelphia might have been the site of the last really, well, in the Northeast at least, major territory, which was East Coast Wrestling, that a lot of people might remember as or Eastern Championship Wrestling. You might remember it as Extreme Championship Wrestling. They rebranded but kept the initials, Extreme Championship Wrestling, ECW. So one of the last great territories was here in the Philadelphia area. So territory wrestling, it can work under the right environment. Billy Corgan seems to be interested in trying to revive it. We'll see how it goes. I hope there are as many successful pro wrestling promotions as possible in the U.S. because there seems to be a big audience for it. So why not have enough content to satisfy everybody, especially since people, hey, there we go. We're seeing on our screen ECW, right? That's wonderful, right? ECW came out of one of the last great regional territories.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got sort of a soft spot in our heart for territory wrestling here in the Philadelphia area.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, ECW, you got it. Some people still like territory wrestling. It takes place in smaller arenas. The ticket prices are usually more affordable because they don't travel all over the country and all over the world. Usually get to see them back on the circuit pretty soon or in less time than it would if they're traveling the whole country and maybe detouring into Canada, Puerto Rico, wherever. So territory wrestling can be fun for people, especially if you like going to a live show in maybe a more intimate venue. I think it can work. I don't know how they're going to get some of these territories into their TV deals and some of their streaming deals that Billy Corgan is trying to negotiate for NWA. They are announcing that these things, these territories will have title belts, championships. There is the, let's see here. I think they mentioned it somewhere. The NWA JCP Southeastern Heavyweight Championship is recognized as an NWA sanctions title. The current champion, Thrill Billy Silas Mason, who I have seen wrestle, not in person, but on the old computer screen here. Thrill Billy Silas Mason, he's fun. He also holds the NWA National Heavyweight Championship. So there they go. This is the second territory. NWA Exodus Pro Midwest is the first, under the tutelage and stewardship of NWA World Heavyweight Champion EC3. So
that's a cool concept, and we hope NWA does well. Hopefully,
would you like to see a Northeast territory if they can get one up and running?
Yeah, absolutely. I would go to their
show.
Why not? I mean,
good to know. And we've got Mr. Spellman has given us ECW chance here. Mr. Spellman, If an NWA territory popped up in your area, would you go? Loved going to those shows as a kid. Lots of great wrestlers came through. Would you revisit that if there was territory wrestling where you live, Mr. Spellman? You seem like an enthusiastic wrestling fan. I think maybe you would, but I don't want to put words in your mouth there.
We'll put words in his mouth. He would love it.
He would love it. Okay.
Billy Corgan. You hear what Mr. Spellman's saying? I have to say, before we end GP, there was something I wanted to talk about on another topic. So let me know if we can wrap this up.
This one came to us from WrestleZone. We also had the New York Post there. We had Wrestle Inc. in there, giving us the Chris Jericho, Wrestling Inc., giving us the Chris Jericho story.
Yeah, this one here.
Thank you to all these news outlets who publish this stuff that we show them up on the screen and we read from their articles and we try to plug them and tell you where they came from. If you want to get the whole story and more of their content, please go and find them. John, what else did you have here? And do you want me to stop sharing my screen for this?
No, this is perfect. So if you scroll down here, why AEW's Chris Jericho says there's no like he doesn't care about the Hall of Fame.
Okay, he's in an insight with Chris Van Vliet here. Where do you want me to go? We below the next picture, or are we okay here?
Below this picture here. I think there's a line, and it says, "If I died tomorrow, everyone would say I'm one of the greatest of all time."
Yeah.
I think because I'm here still doing it at the highest of levels, there's a lot of people online that just hate that. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of Chris Jericho haters. It's kind of in vogue to hate Chris Jericho. So with that,
I never cared. I only judge myself.
I never cared. I only judge myself. With that statement there, I do have to agree with two things. One, if he died today, he would be considered one of the greatest wrestlers ever. Yes. I think he's done it, and at such a high level. He's one of the first people to ever break out of WWE and go to New Japan and wrestle there and have success and bring up their show there. It was their biggest attendance ever when he wrestled in New Japan, and their Wrestle Kingdom show is no joke. It's like the Japan WrestleMania. So then he was able to create AEW. He was their first champ, and ultimately, all of those things said, he had a great career in WCW. He was really cool, like a funny cruiserweight, and then eventually in the WWE, he really became one of the top guys there for years. So I think if he died, guess what? He did a lot more than a lot of wrestlers have in the WWE today, right? So he took
good for saying that while he's not dead.
Yeah.
I'm not dead. I feel happy.
So the second point I wanted to make, this is true. It's very in vogue for some reason to trash Jericho. Specifically, people in the comments sometimes trash his weight because he's put on a couple lbs, and
maybe a little okay.
Yeah, he's put on a couple lbs. So as he's put on a couple lbs, people like to trash him. He says, I think he's had some good matches in AEW and continues to have them. So, Chris, for coming from me, man, block out the haters. They're everywhere. They're in our comment section. Don't worry about them. Keep doing your thing, dude.
Well, cheers to Jericho for still wrestling shirtless. I mean, he looks like a slimmed down Kevin Owens, doesn't he?
Yes. Yes. He slimmed down Kevin Owens. He kind of yo-yos. 1 week he's looking great, and he's like, and then suddenly, maybe he has, I don't know. He goes on tour. I don't know what he does. Or I think he just drinks too much beer on his off days. And when he's drinking too much beer on the off days, it shows.
I don't know anyone that's had as long a career as I've had with as much diversity, evolution, and reinvention than just the opponent that I've had.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
You mentioned if there's a major North American or Japanese promotion, he's been in it and has been a star, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So he's been a star everywhere he's been. And he's probably the first guy that really started the AEW like revolution, if you will, because he was a guy that crossed the line before there was AEW even existed and went to New Japan, and then Moxley left WWE and went to New Japan and also went to AEW. So guys started to kind of cross the picket line and started to do. Oh, Cody Rhodes too. So Cody Rhodes actually kind of followed him too.
Okay.
So
their match, Will Ospreay and Chris Jericho at All In, as big a deal as they're trying to make it out here. What did you see it?
It was really good.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a great one. But Will Ospreay's a special wrestler.
He's much younger, so it was a younger guy and an older guy.
Yeah.
There's a Ric Flair comment there.
Oh, must be. He's been enjoying the shit out of his retirement. Good for him. Yeah, that must be about Flair.
Maybe about Rey Mysterio there. He's enjoying his retirement as well.
Right.
Winning the U.S. title belt in retirement. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey, very good. It's cheap. It's heat. It's cheap heat.
That's a short. All right. So we're done with cheap heat, which means
any comments coming through in the chat that look cheap heatish to you?
No, that's all we got today for the chat.
Okay, very good.
The chat, do keep in mind, this is the Italian goodbye. So, the Irish goodbye, ultimately, Irish goodbye, you turn off the stuff, we're done. You don't say goodbye. That's the Irish goodbye. We do the Italian goodbye.
We would have been gone 5 minutes ago.
We start talking, we start saying goodbye, and then we start chatting about this, we start chatting about that, and before you know it, maybe we're 20 minutes in and we're still saying goodbye to each other, So the Italian goodbye.
It happens,
Yeah. So Dom, we can talk about some channel statistics. You mentioned it earlier. We're up above 350 subscribers, 352 to be exact.
Excellent.
Yeah. We've got an Undertaker video, which was, let's just say the Undertaker video was very volatile. Got a lot of comments, and sometimes the comments were a little upset. And we got some dislikes. Some people didn't like me pointing out the fact that Chris Benoit is a murderer, and why is
we got some real life cheap heat on that video, didn't we?
Yes.
That's part of the show. Cheap heat is part of the show. We got some cheap heat. We can take it.
We can take it. Yeah, we can take it. And it helps the algorithm, even if you hit the down. Fun fact. So that
there you go, right?
The YouTube knows if you hit up or down, it seems to help it because it's a reaction.
Okay.
This was our most disliked video. People did not like me talking. And I think this might be a two-pronged reason. One, they don't like to ever trash Undertaker, which I don't think we trashed him. We're just like, I just said I would have left him off because he's a murderer. And then two, I said he was a real life murderer in the title, which might have triggered some people that are really big fans of him.
Okay.
Just can't let it go. But I saw some of that with Bray Wyatt when he died. People were really sad. And I was like, he's just a guy I watch on TV,
Sometimes, if you've gone out to maybe a live event and you got to meet some of these performers and you got to see, oh, this is a real person,
Mm-hmm.
Some of these guys are real charismatic and people do form a bond with them. Or sometimes just from their performances. I mean, you want some cheap heat? You want some downvotes? Sometimes people form unhealthy attachments to performers. Cough, Swifties, cough.
I am not attacking the Swifties. I'd rather attack the Cornet.
I'm attacking the Swifties.
At your funeral.
Make the short.
Make the short. Oh my God.
Bring out the down thumbs.
We're gonna be on Taylor Swift's we're gonna be in the Taylor Swift Reddit, and they're gonna be like, we need to watch all the videos and down like them all. We need to find the address. We need them.
We can work heel.
He can work heel with the Swifties.
You worked heel in NJCW. The Bonsall Street Bomber was a heel.
Mm.
We can work heel. Come on.
Mr. Spellman, you still there? You want us to talk about anything?
Is he going through and downvoting all of our videos?
I hope.
Excellent work. Thank you, Mr. Spellman.
Seriously though, so over 352 subscribers, which is great. We're very close to another milestone, which is 2,000 total watch hours. I don't have.
Oh wow! Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's something.
Great reach stats.
Yeah, for the channel. Thank you.
Oh yeah,
the subscribers, the watch hours, the total views for all the stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So we
very much. We're pleased, Mr. Spellman. John,
yeah.
did you think we would be here at the 14, almost 15-month mark?
No, especially around the first 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, right.
We couldn't get any traction. We would make a video, and then I cut up a video and make a shorter video and post that. The live video would have 1 view or 2 views, and it was all either me or Dom watching it. And then that short video I make had about 6 views. So it would be like me, Dom, maybe Dom again, maybe me again, and then like 2 other viewers. So it was really grind in the beginning. But now we're pumping them out. You know, we're getting subscribers, we're getting watch time. So we're close to 2,000 hours. And 3,000 is when we'll get monetized. So that's a huge goal for us. So 500 subscribers, 3,000 hours of 500 subscribers, 3,000 hours of watch time is the first level of actually getting monetized. So if we can hit that, you know, we'll need another 1,000 hours of watch time. We already have 2, and we'll need another 150 subscribers. So I think we'll get there.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Very good.
Yeah. And then,
hey, if we have people hanging out on our live streams, that helps.
Yeah, just keep hanging out. Have us tell me what you think. What are you doing today, Mr. Spellman? How was your day? I met my niece tonight. This is all part of the.
Okay. How old is your niece?
Excuse me, my nephew. My apologies. I met my nephew tonight.
Okay.
My sister had a baby, and my nephew is about 7 days old.
All right. Congratulations, Uncle John.
He says, I'll put on a pot and start making all accounts. Do it, right?
we can neither confirm nor deny that this kind of activity is happening on Don't Bury the Lead channel.
Yeah, just we're not even sure who Mr. Spellman is. Yeah, Jay, you're a developer. Start giving us some views.
Jay's a developer. Excellent. Wonderful.
Yeah.
I have pretended to be a developer at various points.
This is true. Jay, hire this man. Your new company. All right. So anything else we have? Let's see here. We talked about the stats. You know, thanks so much, seriously, though, for people who are watching. It's been really helpful. And, you know, it seems like that the channel continues to stay in that same direction. And we're just going to keep pumping out videos. Dom, thanks so much for all that you contribute. You know, you do all the cheap heat, which is super helpful. I mean, it really carries the show. And, yeah, that's it for me. Anything else for you, Dom?
I am quite tired.
Okay.
It was an all-nighter for me. I had some work to get done, and
Yeah. Did you stay up all
I haven't
night?
been to sleep since today's Friday, so like Wednesday.
Oh my God. All right. Well, on that note, folks, I think you should have done the Irish good night.
I've got sort of an Irish mug here that I drink from.
Okay. All right, Dom. Well, I hope your all-nighter worked out for yourself himself.
In a way, it did. Yes.
Okay. Very cool. Well, guys, thanks so much for joining. We really appreciate it. If you're watching and you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Hit the like button. That helps. That's free to help us out. And
John is begging. Don't make him beg more.
don't make me beg. Don't make me beg. But no, thanks so much for your time and have a great rest of your evening.